What if I told you, in Iran, women are banned from going to soccer games?
Mom, take the ball. I love you.
For 43 years, Iranian women have fought back.
Police pushed us.
Troops.
This is their story.
The joy was forbidden.
What is the meaning of that?
That is how they control you.
I'm Shimol Yai. Listen to the new 30 for 30 podcast, Pink Card. Available now.
Our mission at Lemonada Media is to make life suck less for our listeners, so we're thrilled to now be able to offer you an opportunity to support that mission and our brand in your own world. We're proud to announce that we have a brand new line of Lemonada merchandise. From stylish sweatshirts to eco-friendly water bottles, we've worked hard to curate a line of actually cool merchandise that will fit seamlessly into your everyday life. Be sure to check out our merch store at www.lemonadamedia.com.
Lemonada. When was the last time that finding joy went horribly wrong for me? Great question. I would love to tell you. I was recently invited to one of those public painting classes where you also get to consume an adult beverage while you paint. I had always wanted to go to something like this, but I had never had anybody that was willing to kind of embarrass themselves for the sake of fun and go with me. See, the way these nights work is you and a class are all given these step-by-step instructions on how to paint the same scene. You're given the same materials, same paint colors, and the beautiful thing is everyone's canvas ends up looking just a little bit different. Now, something you might not know about me is I actually paint for fun. Am I good? No. But I have a lot of fun doing it, so in no way did I think that I was any kind of professional walking into this class. But I will not lie to you. I felt so much more confident than I had any business feeling walking into that art studio. So we arrive and we grab our drink, and then the canvases start quickly getting taken up by people one by one, and I just start looking at the reference painting perfectly placed on the stage. I'm partly admiring it, but also partly just trying to wrap my brain around what my hands will be painting that evening. It was an intergalactic lake scene of some sort. This beautifully still water acting as a mirror for many moons and planets hanging in the sky of this fictional scene. Surrounding the lake were these tall pine trees that were so tall it looked like you could have climbed them right to outer space. Floating around the clouds were bonus stars and constellations, just your typical space stuff. The painting looked very dark somehow, but it was made up of these bright neon colors, which still doesn't make sense to me. And while everyone else in my group was contributing to the dull roar of conversation happening in the room, I was just staring at this reference under a spotlight, thinking, this looks deceivingly simple. And that thought was the first of many mistakes I made that evening. The instructor hops up on stage and then puts his Britney Spears headset on, and then also his apron to match the rest of us. I take my plate of paint that was already measured for us, and I start following along. Take your lightest color, lay a base for the water, lay a base for the sky. Great, done, boom. I'm incredible at this. Next, we're going to tackle the ombre galactic sky, and at this point, I start feeling a couple things. First and foremost, the drink I had immediately before painting, but second to that was impatient. I thought, I already know where he is going with this. I'm just going to scoot ahead a couple steps, and then I'll be available in case anyone needs help. That was mistake number 2. I have never seen pink turn into black so fast. I don't know if you've ever tried to blend your way out of a painting mistake, but generally speaking, it works about 0 out of 10 times. I look down at my plate of paint to add more white to what looks like throw up in space, and I'm completely out of paint. How am I out of paint? We started 5 minutes ago. This is supposed to last me the entire class, I think. I do not ask for more paint. I do sit in silence and start to laugh so hard that I cry. It's only after the first big gasp of breath, as I'm trying to hide my emotion, that my friend next to me looks over and notices just how badly this is going for me. With a singular look in my eye, I am trying to silently communicate to her, do not react to what you are seeing, because I do not want to have a conversation about what you are seeing. Surprisingly, she missed all of that from our 2-second silent conversation we had only with our eyeballs. The loudest laugh erupts out of my friend's body, just as the room had filled with focus and gone completely silent. My friend's laugh teleports the instructor directly to us, and he wants to see our progress. It is bad. I said, very casually, in an effort to conceal just how much emotion was welling up in my body at this point in the evening. He said, "It can't be that bad." But he said it with so much confidence that I almost believed him. Maybe this happens all the time, I thought. So hesitantly, I stopped blocking the painting from his view with my body, and he assesses my work with his Britney Spears headset on full volume. He says, "I'm feeling, I'm reacting to it." Thinking he was going to comfort me well beyond that, I say, "Okay, yeah, great, react to it." I was excited. Apparently, that was his reaction, because the only other thing he added to his previous encouragement was, yeah, I don't know. Okay, perfect. So this isn't anxiety blowing it out of proportion. This really is going as bad as I think it is. Maybe I can make a different version of the same painting. That's what art is, right? Interpreting one thing a million different ways. Well, apparently I had painted a black hole because there was no amount of white paint that was willing to make itself visible to the human eye while living on top of this custom shade of black I created this evening. I accepted defeat. The class ended. And I reluctantly held up the black hole for a group picture alongside my friends in their beautifully neon intergalactic lakes. Thank you. Okay, actually, can you just pretend that you're listening to a fully complete theme song here? I got really in my head, and I tried to make it perfect, and I couldn't. So this is going to be the theme song right here. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Funny 'Cause It's True. I'm Elyse Myers. Today, I am so excited to share my conversation with the wonderful human that is Jonathan Van Ness. They are an Emmy-nominated television personality, New York Times best-selling author, podcaster, and hairstylist. And if that's not enough, they are also a star on the Netflix Emmy Award-winning reboot series Queer Eye. In 2021, Jonathan launched JVN Hair, which is a clean and sustainable hair care line that sees all beauty, serves all beauty, and honors the uniqueness in each of us. So 2 things that are funny because they're true. Number 1, I decided to do my hair before this interview, not only with not enough time, but with a hair tool that I had never touched before in my entire life. And it didn't go super well for me. And number 2, I got a full breakdown. I'm talking names, history, allergies, mental health, origin stories, fears of JVN's pets. Did I expect it? No. Did I like it? Very much. Okay, let's get into the interview. I just want to say thank you. I'm just so grateful you're here, and it's so crazy to connect with you, and this just feels like a long time coming. We've been talking so much on social media. Also, what are you drinking right now? Little bevy?
The most delicious fucking coffee.
Okay, there's going to be a lot of this. I just needed you to know. Okay.
It's like this gorgeous coffee with some oat milk. It's they made it so nice. I'm like,
What's your go-to coffee order?
Just coffee with oat milk.
Oh, simple.
Yeah, I'm just a simple girl in a very intricate, confusing world.
Simple girl in the big city drinking an oat milk coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, there needs to be a movie about it.
When are we writing our feature? I'm so ready.
I think we're actually writing it now. That's
Okay.
what the podcast will be, is us just writing this movie.
I wonder if in our budget we'll be able to afford making my way downtown, walking fast. I feel like that's where it opens.
Well, I've heard on a few podcasts I listen to that talk about TV shows that the cost it takes to sample even 15 seconds of a song of someone singing it, not even the art, it's hundreds of thousands
Kajillions
of dollars.
Maybe we won't spend the money there because there's
Maybe we won't.
Yeah, we'll write our own music.
So I did want to chat a little bit about a recent post that you made on Instagram, and it just made my heart really happy, and I felt like that could kind of be what we talked about today. But I want to read the caption because I don't want to get it wrong. But you said that you were seeking out things that bring me joy, and it's the key to my confidence and trusting myself. And that is just so beautiful. And I want to know right now, at least today or this week, what did you do that kind of brought you joy, or something that you sought joy in?
Yeah. This week I did some gymnastics, which is kind of the thing that I do most consistently for my little joy getting moments. Also I'm in New York City right now and I love it here. And I live in Texas, most of the time. But Mark and I, my husband and I have like a little apartment here. So like we get to like come and like see our friends and like walk the dog and like feel like a big city girl, even though like I'm not here very much. And so that's kind of fun. So we took like a gorgeous like little walk this morning. And yeah, I was like, that was really like joy bringing.
Okay, so fun fact, I had a gym membership solely to go in the sauna, but I was tired of having like weird conversations with old men that wanted to kind of like hit on you while you're just trying to have peace and like sit in a sauna. And it was like a co-ed situation. And so I would just sit in there and just dream of the day I could afford a sauna. So one day for like Christmas, there was like this crazy sale at Costco and I bought myself a sauna for like, no, you just can't get a sauna for that price ever again. I will literally look at this sauna every day for the rest of my life and be like, I don't know how you came into my possession, but we did it. And it sits in my basement and I use it every single night. And that is the way that I do self-care.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like the dream. I've been to New York one time and it was for a couple days and I was working the whole time. And then all I wanted was to get a hot dog from a cart and it was during COVID. So my manager was like, no.
I literally just ate one.
Really?
I literally, not even to like rub it in your fucking face. I'm so sorry, but I literally like the smell of like a hot dog with mustard is the smell on my breath right now. Like literally. Because I got done with my little thing that I did right before this a little early and I was like, I'm going to get a fucking hot dog.
This is what I was letting you know right here. Okay, carry on.
I did. They're so delicious.
That's the dream. I'm so
delish.
Jealous. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed it for the both of us.
It was really good. I'm not going to lie. It was like really delish. But yeah, it's weird. Like talking about it, I think about like where I was like prior to being able to have an apartment in Manhattan and like have a house in Austin.
Yeah.
And even hearing myself say it, like I have like survivor's guilt. I feel gross saying it.
Don't.
Like I want to be able to feel more like proud talking about it, but sometimes I feel like there's a part of me where a lot of times I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is my life. Like I worked so hard to get here and like I wanted this for so long and now I kind of have it and like that's really surreal.
What do you do in your life when you feel that way? Like how do you soak in and like that's what's happening around you? How do you stay grateful?
I mean, I think one thing that my grandmother always told me, like, don't forget where you came from. And like, she always said that to me, like, but usually it was in response to my life burning down on fire around me in my 20s because like that's what was going on. And it was
that's what your 20s is for, I think.
It is. But yeah, I mean, I think for me that's part of like why I love my like animals so much. Like we have 5 cats and 2 dogs, and just taking care of like something other than myself. And like I don't have pets, don't have animals, sorry. Or Jesus Christ.
Kids.
Don't have kids. Thank you. I'm like, no, but I mean, not having kids, my pets are like especially important to me because they are like my babies. But they also are like, as like my cats were like a huge part of my like recovery from getting away from like really self-destructive behavior. So
yeah,
like they were just so helpful to me. Like I still have my first cat that I found in the hood of a car. He was my first baby, Bug the First. He's still my screensaver.
Oh my gosh.
He was so cute. Bug the First. He was the best.
Do you have Bug the Seventh? Like, did you just keep naming them?
No,
Bug?
I was going to because my grandparents had a black teacup poodle for 35 years named JP. Because when one would die, they would just get a new black teacup poodle and name it JP. So they had like 10. Like, and so
that was my grandpa with the name Jake with a Rottweiler. He literally has had so many Jakes.
Why did they do that in that generation?
I don't know.
They just did.
I love that for them. They're like, I like one name and they're all going to be JP.
And they commit. And that's what they did. And so I thought I would do that with Bug, but I felt like Bug the Third was like too morbid about it. So, and Mark, my husband, he's like obsessed with, he loves like the Jungle Book. So he named this 5th cat, our new baby black cat, Bag after Bagheera. But really, it's Bag after like bags because I love purses. And it's only one. Yeah. And it's only like one letter off from Bug. So like it kind of is like, you know, scratching that itch, but like not like so creepily the same, you know? So yeah, it's like one of Mark and I's biggest fights is like if it's like Bag after Bagheera or Bag for Bag. But it's obviously Bag. For bags.
I didn't think that I would be hearing about like the heritage of your pets' names today. And honestly, I'm very grateful that I am because I feel like this is a great way to get to know you.
That's only like a 7th of them. Like there's like actually other, like there's Liza Meow Nelly.
That's so great.
Yeah. And then we have Harry Larry, who's a meteorologist, you know. Okay. And then there's like Matilda. She's Tooties. She's a little Tootie Tooter. She's like the cutest thing you've ever seen. And then there's Liza and then Bag and Larry. So yeah, that's the... Oh, and then Genevieve, of course, baby G. She's got got anxiety. She's actually really allergic to like all of these trees in Texas, and she like licks bald spots all over herself. She's really going through it. But she's the cutest cat you've ever seen.
So what I'm hearing is pets are a big part of your like self-care, self-love.
Yes, I love them so much. I just like hold them.
Really quick, while we're on the subject of JVN's beautiful feline family members, I was reminded of a dog that we had when I was growing up. His name was Bentley the dog. I don't actually know the breed of Bentley the dog, but he had curly hair. Hold on, we're going to look it up. I almost just Googled Bentley the dog. What does Bentley look like? Okay, Elyse, focus. Curly hair. It was like an English brand. English? Schnauzer. This doesn't matter. I always do this. I always go on this like really non-essential. It was I almost want to text my brother. Very square nose. Anyways. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, JVN tells me about doing their own stunts in front of Simone Biles. People like to ask me about my strategies and goals for myself when it comes to my own mental health. Fun fact, I like to actually walk while I work. I've found that when my body is in motion, my brain stays focused. So I built myself a treadmill desk a few years ago, and I've used it every day since. We're used to managing and figuring things out on our own, including our own mental health. But what happens when our tools, whether it's meditation, doing deep dives on TikTok, or your homemade treadmill desk, what if they're not enough? Hers offers access to mental health care that can support you in your day-to-day. At forhers.com, you can get access to healthcare providers who are available for your mental health and can prescribe trusted medications to treat anxiety and depression if they're right for you. And it's all 100% online. If prescribed, you can get your first month of treatment for only $25 and afterwards for $85 a month, or $49 a month with a 3-month subscription. Head to forhers.com/Elyse to start a free assessment today. That's forhers.com/ELYSE. Hers makes it so simple. For example, there is no insurance required. It doesn't really get simpler than that. Get started today with a free assessment at forhers.com/Elyse. That's forhers.com/ELYSE. Offer is only available if prescribed. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Winter is here, and the cold air can be brutal on your skin. That's why Sol de Janeiro is excited to tell you about Brazilian Boom Boom Cream, which is their moisturizing MVP. It can help you protect your skin from getting dry even on the coldest of days. Their Brazilian Boom Boom Cream has so many incredible ingredients that are also sustainably sourced, vegan, and cruelty-free. This includes the fast-absorbing cupuaçu butter, which delivers deep hydration and essential fatty acids, leaving your skin feeling silky soft, and antioxidant-packed ingredients like acai oil to help keep skin vibrant. This cream is great for whole-body skincare and can be used as part of your daily routine. Sol de Janeiro is offering our listeners 10% off on their first order on Sol de Janeiro, spelled SOLDEJANEIRO.com, and free shipping with the code Elyse. That's ELYSE to try Brazilian Boom Boom Cream for yourself with 10% off and free shipping. Going back a little bit, that it was your grandma that's like, don't forget where you came from. Was it your grandma?
Yeah.
It's just, I love that so much. What is it like to think about that? Like when you think back to your childhood or like to high school or growing up, like, are you the same person that you are now that you were when you lived there, or has that changed a lot?
Yeah, I think about it as like our personalities have like so many different parts to them. So I think there's like parts of me that are still very much the same. There's parts of me that are really different, but I still feel very much like connected to that like inner child and like inner adolescent that like grew up there.
Who is that person? Like, how would you describe that inner child?
I mean, I feel like you probably see them on Instagram, like when I land any tumbling pass, like they are just really obsessed with gymnastics. They're really working on their, it's weird because, you know, you think of me as being this like ray of light, and I am a ray of light, but interesting with gymnastics and figure skating. If you're trying to come for Team USA, like, I'm coming for you. Like, I want our girls to win. Like, even if we fall, like, I still think our artistic presentation was better, is a little stronger. So, like, why aren't our component scores a little where the,
Also,
you know what I'm
great
saying?
outfits.
Like, yeah,
great
our
makeup,
outfits.
great
And just our
hair,
presentation.
glitter.
Like, and like, we're never fourth as long as we get a medal, you know? So that's my inner child. Like, and then, you know, but then I got to be like, no, it's also about like, you know, like the journey and like everyone like showing up and participating and having fun and stuff. So my inner child's just dealing, I think, when I think about that, like, where does that, like, internal, like, Indiana primal man rage come from when it comes to, like, figure skating and gymnastics? And I do a whole set about this on my comedy. I think it's those NBC montages that they play during the Olympics.
Very
which
powerful.
is basically North Korean propaganda, but for, like, American gymnastics, you know? And, like, just, like, sports. Like, it just really
it wants
gets you in
to like
fuego.
evoke emotion. Yeah.
And look at me. I find myself cussing out like teenage girls, like, you know, when they compete against like, you know, and it wasn't until Simone like pulled out of the women's team final and like I saw her cheering for people from other countries where I really had to confront that ugliness inside myself and be like, wow, if Simone can cheer for everyone and like prioritize like mental health and like prioritize that over medals, like you need to be able to do that too. So I just like really look up to Simone. I love her so much. Like I feel like I like got so much emotional maturity from that experience. And
have you ever gotten to meet her?
Yeah, I got to, not to name drop, but I did do an Uber Eats commercial with her. Do you want to hear a really funny story about it?
Yes, always.
Okay. So the creative was that I was going to do a tumbling pass like in the commercial. And because basically like I'm obsessed with her in real life and obviously I was too on the commercial. And so I kept wanting to be besties with her and like do the same thing as her like in all these scenes in the commercial. So I was like, yeah, got it. Like I can do whatever tumbling pass you want. Like that tumbling pass is my middle name. Like, oh, look at me. I'm a gymnast. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So then I got there to shoot it. And there was this, can I cuss?
Yeah.
There was this fucking man.
JVN saying this after opening our conversation with the most delicious fucking coffee is iconic.
With a glue-on beard and a glue-on wig, as me. He was my stunt double.
Your stunt double? Oh,
and I was like,
gosh.
And I didn't say this on the outside, but on the inside, I was like, who the fuck do you think I am? And like, who is that? Like, get him off my set. But that's not what I said. I just felt like that on the inside, you know, but on the outside, I was like, oh, darling. I was like, I totally can do this. And then he was like, it was very bring it on. He was like, well, they want you to do this pass. And then he like turned around and did like that pass. And I was like, oh, honey, I can do that pass. Like, oh, watch this. And so then I did it. And then everyone was kind of like, wow, he did do it.
Do you think that they wanted to keep you physically safe, or do you think that they just didn't think you could do it?
I think that they thought that it was going to take like 10 takes, and they were like, yeah, you can do it once, but can you do it like 10 times in a row?
That's fair.
And I was like, fuck, yes, I can. So I was like, take a seat. You can stop stretching your hamstrings now, honey, because you ain't using them tonight. Like, this is going to be the easiest check you ever made, honey, because you aren't. And then they're like, well, let's just try shooting him. And I was like, no. They're like, well, do you know how to do that tumbling pass to a mark? Like, we need you to land that pass, like, on a mark. And I was like, yeah, I do that all the time. I do that constantly.
Did you do that all the time?
Well, you kind of do in gymnastics because, like, when you learn to tumble, like, and do new skills, you have to, like, do it into that pit, like, that foam block pit, you know?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to learn how to, like, hit a certain spot to, like, you know, land into the pit.
Not hurt yourself.
But typically you're not tumbling into the most decorated, like, American gymnast of all time. And like,
just one of your biggest idols.
Yeah. So I was just like, Queen, like, if it seems like I'm barreling right towards you, like, don't be afraid to just like run and jump. Like, just, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I got this, but like, who knows? And so, but I did it. I committed and I did it. I was really proud of it. And it was like the best 2 days of my life. And I felt bad. I was trying not to like interrogate her about like the Olympic team. And she just was like trying to be really diplomatic. And she's like, oh, I'm going to go back to my train and be like, yeah, but let's talk for longer about gymnastics.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I felt really bad. I just was like obsessed. And she was just like,
did you get to the point where you like stopped asking questions because you were like, if I ask one more question, I'm going to look like I'm like writing a book about her? Because I feel like that's how I would feel. This happened when I met Lance Bass. Actually, we were at dinner and he asked me if I had a podcast because he said I was a good interviewer. And then I realized I was interviewing him and not having a conversation with him. So now I have a podcast.
No, she did so good. She just, because her coach, Cecile, who's like the nicest person ever, she just like did this expert thing where she was like, oh my God, Cecile's like you. She like loves gymnastics. Like, come here, Cecile. And then she like, once we got going, she was like, bye-bye. And then I'm obsessed with Cecile Landy, her coach. I was like, I love her. She's like, I was like, so in 1996, when you were representing France on the, like, because she was like a French gymnast. And she was really impressed that I knew that she was like an Olympian from 1996 Olympics. And I was like, what do you think I am? Some sort of fucking idiot who doesn't even know what the fuck your career is? You're Simone Biles' fucking coach. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm obsessed.
Where does the confidence like, how did you get that confidence to do those gymnastic things in front of her? Like, I would have just been like unwell. I would have been like, I love that they got me a backup person.
Oh no, I've been like waiting to like, that would really felt like when I walked into that gymnastics place, like in my head, that song, like everybody dance now, bump, bump, but that came in my head. I was like so ready. It was like catwalk, time to go. Like
You're like, this is my moment. I've been waiting my whole life for this.
I literally got to like deliver a line into the camera and then like run off camera like I was going to do a tumbling pass. Like, when the Olympics are on in my house, Elyse, I'm not kidding you. I literally, like, if I'm watching gymnastics, I will get up off the couch to go get, like, a snack. And when I get off the couch, I will go, like I present like they do in the Olympics, like, to imaginary judges. And then I will literally, like, I'll go like this, like, I'll wave to, like, an imaginary, like, crowd, like how the gymnasts do. Yeah, I do that. I also, like, when it's winter games, like, I'll do, like, my favorite, like, choreography from, like one of the girls, like, one of the figure skating girls, like, in and out, like, from rooms, you know?
Have you always been into gymnastics? Like, did you do this as a kid?
Yes, obsessed. But I couldn't really tumble until I was 15, but I was obsessed with gymnastics.
So to hear JVN talk about how they've just like followed gymnastics for so many years, it's really inspiring. And also it makes me wish I stuck with things a little bit more. I burn so bright and so fast with my hobbies that I will pour everything I am into something for like a few weeks. And then generally I will kind of drop it once I've either mastered it or just lost interest in any way. Did you do gymnastics like in school or did you like do it outside of school?
I did it outside of school because I became obsessed with gymnastics. 1992, Barcelona. It was incredible games. We got bronze. It was our first like women's team medal in an uncontested games. We gotten a medal before, but like Russia wasn't there. So like, who really knows? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But this time we got bronze, like with everybody there in 92. It was really major. It was a really good games. And so I just got the Olympic bug and I've never gotten over it.
That makes me so happy. I have to say that when I watch you and your content of like your gymnastics and your tumbling and all of that, like the video of the caption that I brought up earlier, I like literally cried watching you when you stuck the landing because there genuinely is such a like, you see like so much like pride in your eyes when you do it. And when you do it well, it's like you are proud of yourself and you're like literally bringing people around you on this journey of like, I'm going to do something really hard and then I'm going to do it and then I'm going to celebrate myself in front of you because I'm proud of me. So you should be proud of you when you do hard things. Like that's really how it feels like watching your journey with tumbling and all of that. And I just want to let you know it's very powerful.
Thank you.
Never could do that in my life. I would injure myself immediately.
Yes, you could. You would just have to start with a back bend walkover and like getting your back flexibility so you can do like a back bend.
What is a back bend walkover? Is that I just like
just like a bridge, like a bridge, or it's like a bridge.
Oh, okay.
It's like a bridge, and you just like kick over from the bridge. That's like the foundation to like a back handspring.
Wow, I'm gonna get off the call after this and try it. I did not try it.
You could totally do adult gymnastics classes. They have them, and everyone can start from somewhere.
If we ever hang out, will you do gymnastics with me? Will you teach me?
Fuck yes. We got Angel from Queer Eye doing standing back tucks. Okay. Like, she's got, like, a gorgeous standing... Yeah, she has a gorgeous standing back tuck. I'm, like, really good at teaching people stuff. Not to toot my own horn, but it's true.
What is a standing back tuck?
It's a standing backflip with no hands.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Did you do, like, cheer, or did you do, like...
I did. I did cheer. So, I tried out in... for like my freshman squad, like as a joke, and I couldn't do gymnastics yet. And then I made it. And then I became obsessed with it. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm part of a group. Like these girls are nice. Like I want to do it all the time. And so in order for me to try out for the basketball squad, I had to get a back handspring because they tumbled that squad. So that's how I like got really into it. And I started taking lessons. So I didn't learn how to tumble until I was like 15, which is like pretty late for most people. And like my coach once told me, I've never seen someone with less natural ability learn how to tumble. You get over on sheer determination. Because like I'm kind of tall, like I'm like 6'1", like I don't have like the most classic like gymnast body, like, and so it takes a lot to like hurl my body upside down. And especially like because it was so hard for me to learn and I had such a psychological block, so I was so terrified of going backwards, like being able to like, especially like backwards twisting elements, like when I do like, I think that caption you were talking about, I was doing a half or like a full, but like honest to God, like I get so much joy from those skills because I really didn't do them since I was like 18 when I cheered in college. And when I quit cheering in college, I never thought I would do any of this stuff again. Like I was a hairdresser after that and needed to like not break my fingers or my wrists and like, you know, obviously need to like be physically safe. And so I just thought I'd kiss that part of myself goodbye, but I loved that part like so much. So getting to come back to it like for fun and then accidentally like melting it with my stand-up comedy career is just, it's been so healing. It's given me like a little bit of extra purpose. It's like, and even if I didn't perform gymnastics and stand-up, it's just so joyful to like get to go do something for the joy of doing it. And which is really what I do it for. Because I don't have to do gymnastics in my stand-up. And in fact, I'm sure a lot of people be like, girl, like you don't even need to do that. And I'm like, no, but I insist. It's so much fun, you know?
I love that. I feel like I relate to that only because a lot of times, like, so I'm a musical person, and in college I did songwriting. And then after I graduated college and went back to the States, I wrote music for myself, but it wasn't ever something where I was like, I'm going to be a professional music writer. And I just kept doing it. And now I guess I'm classified as a comedian, but that always feels weird to say because it's like, I don't know, you just feel like that's a weird thing to call yourself. I feel like that's something someone has to call you. You can't just be like, I'm a comedian. I don't know. I don't know why I feel that way. But including music into it is kind of my gymnastics in my set. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't have to have it here, but it shows you who I am with it.
Okay, but what was that one song on TikTok that I was like, it was so fucking catchy. And it was like,
oh, Unhinged?
Yeah, how does that one go?
That you lied about me to all your friends. You like to say I'm sick. Yeah,
that shit is so good. It's probably gonna be like a literal like top 10 smash.
That's weird.
It's literally
Smash.
like the best. Like, wait, how did that? Could you just like give us that line again?
Yeah. You lied about me to all your friends. You like to say I'm obsessed. Meanwhile, you're drunk down my phone in the middle of the night when you're all alone, and you drive me crazy. There we go.
Oh my God.
The dancing happening. You'll be the first person
of all time. My love for you overflows every pore of my queer body. I just love you so much. It like literally hurts. You're the best.
I'm not going to cry. Okay, perfect. We're going to take another break. Stay tuned to hear about JVN's first experience cutting a client's hair. It is wild. I don't really see myself as a lots of hair products kind of person, but I am learning on my own about my natural curly hair, and that means trying a lot of things. So how happy was I when I found a product that would help me actually embrace my hair's natural texture? Very happy. I was introduced to the JVN hair care line by Jonathan Van Ness, and it works for all hair types, including mine. And I just fell in love with the brand immediately, like won't stop talking about it to friends and family, despite their repeated assurances that they get it. Level of falling in love. JVN hair care is silicone-free and powered by this unique, sustainable ingredient, hemisqualane. That's what gives your hair that healthier, frizz-free shine that we love. And for those of us with curly hair, the air dry cream is a must-have. It smells incredible, and it's made my new hair care routine with my natural curls so simple. Thank you, JVN. We love you. If you want to try JVN's air dry cream for yourself, and trust me, you definitely do, head to jvnhair.com and use code Elyse20 for 20% off air dry cream and the entire JVN hair collection. That's jvnhair.com and code Elyse20.
In 2022, we partnered with Penguin Random House to establish the Lemonada Book Club, uniting lovers of storytelling, from books to podcasts, and we have loved recommending reads that reflect the beauty and challenge of the human experience. And there's nothing more human than emotion. And this past year was full of emotions. Penguin Random House's The Year in Books explores 2022's big moods and offers the perfect books to go with them. Maybe you've been feeling blasé bliss, floating along in a state of numbness, which calls for an imaginative book to snap you out of it. Or perhaps you are channeling defiant joy, where nothing could dull your shine, and want a book filled with inspiration to keep you going and glowing. However you've been feeling, they've got a book for that. Check out The Year in Books at penguinrandomhouse.com/yearinbooks, and stay connected to our growing community of story lovers at www.lemonadabookclub.com.
So going back, I know that you were in cheer, and I know that you did cheer in college.
Yeah, it was a co-ed squad, and it was, it was good. I didn't have a very good time in college. I was more concerned with doing drugs, and so I didn't do very good in school.
Okay. I dropped out of college.
I did great in cosmetology school, though.
Did you? Did you
Yes,
like
that's
cosmetology school more? Or did you feel like you were
loved it.
able to dive into it more?
I just loved it. Well, I mean, because I really was into what I was learning about. But it's interesting, what we were talking about earlier about creativity and consistency. Hairdressing is a lot of learning guidelines and parameters, and then you get to put together your guidelines to approach that color or that haircut, which is all an art. An art form, an expression of the way that you see the world and the way this person sees themselves. So I just was really fascinated with the process, and I still am. I remember the night before school started thinking oh my God, what if I actually don't like doing hair as much as I think that I do? But then the first day I was oh my God, I'm obsessed. I remember getting my kit and being oh my God, I get to organize everything. I can't wait to get to do somebody's hair. I love doing it still.
Because I know that when you said joy is kind of what helps you feel more self-confident in all of that. Do you feel that was kind of a moment for you where you found you had so much joy about doing something that you kind of felt you found yourself a little bit in it?
Yeah. And I think hair also was a huge community for me to feel safe in and for me to come back to, no matter how much my life was spiraling out of control or what was going on. I always had it was also because I needed to make money and I needed to provide for myself. So where else was I going to go to do that? Because I was a hairdresser. But what an amazing place and what amazing people that I met and were put in my path that helped me navigate all of the things that I was going through.
Was there any haircut that you did right at the beginning? Do you remember what first haircut you did?
Yeah, I actually remember the first time I had to take a client for a haircut, and the hot water heater stopped working in Minneapolis in November. And I go downstairs to get my client and I call his name, and I remember he had a water bottle full of orange juice, but I didn't think anything of it. And so then when we got up to the chair, he took a swig of it, and all I could smell was vodka. It was just a hardcore screwdriver in his bottle of water. But I was I was excited. I wanted to do the haircut. So he was he had long hair, kind of as long as mine. He was I want you to take the sides and the top real short, but I want you to leave me some length in the back. And so I was you want me to give you a mullet? And so I was I don't know how to do that haircut. We didn't really learn that. So I was just trying to figure out how to do that. And so we went to the shampoo bowl, and I was just so you know, there's no hot water. It's cold. There's no hot water today. And so he was okay. And so I went to go get the chair because the chair wasn't right under the shampoo bowl. And so I went to grab this chair to scoot it over so he could sit there, but he just turned around and sat down, and there wasn't a chair there yet. And so he fell really hard, and just everyone turned around and looked at me, and I was oh man. And I helped him up, and I got the chair there, and he was that was my bad. And I got him sat there. And then when I leaned him back to start washing his hair, he just started yelling and hooting and hollering about how cold the water was. He was God damn it, this water's so cold. And he just was being making such a scene. And then I gave him a mullet, and he loved his haircut. But it was just a really eventful hour. And then when I finished his hair, one of the teachers came over and was that was a lot for a first haircut.
This is my nightmare.
Yeah. And then I was like, he was drunk. I was like, that was a screwdriver. And my teacher was like, why didn't you say something? Like, we would. And then I was like, oh.
I can say something?
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Was this school? Like, how did this person find you? Like, how do you connect to somebody that's like drinking a screwdriver, wanting a mullet?
No, they just like come in, they're like, I want a haircut. And then they like give you, like, they make a little ticket. And then they're like, okay, wait for your person cut on a call your name. So it's just like random. It's like all super random.
If you finish school and then you get out, and then did you ever imagine you would become you after all of that? Like that you would become like JVN?
Oh no, I mean that was like a long gap. A lot of stuff happened in there. I think the first time that I ever was like, oh, I could do something else besides hairdressing was Game of Thrones. Like I did this like recap series like called Game of Thrones, and one of my clients, like I was doing her hair and she was like, do you watch Game of Thrones? And I was like, oh honey, like this one like has got a sash and they got to call 911 because of
So I'm learning in real time what Game of Thrones isn't.
And then when I kind of got done recapping what I thought was Game of Thrones, she was like, we got to do that as like a series. And I was like, what's a series? But doing Game of Thrones is how I learned about writing jokes, about how I learned about producing, how I learned about everything on camera. Like that's really where I kind of grew up. I did it for like 6 or 7 years. And it was, doing that like once a year. And then like going back to my day job when Game of Thrones would be over, I was like, how do I make this work? Like I want to keep doing this. I want to keep making stuff. I want to be on camera. I want to write. And then Queer Eye came up and the audition process was like pretty rigorous and I got it. It was like my first big, huge audition that I like got a yes on. Because I'd done a few things like after Game of Thrones, but never got through, like never like booked the audition. And so Queer Eye was the first time where I like booked the audition. It was definitely the biggest, most important, like nerve-wracking audition ever. And even when I did that, I still was like, you might get like a season and then it'll be over and this was fun and like the boys were nice and like this is a cool experience. But like, I mean, the whole time, like as it's happened, I think it's just been when people say like what is it like being famous? It really truly feels like this. It feels like being in a constant state of shock,
Yeah.
Like I look at my like life and it's so unrecognizable from what it was even like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But on the other hand, it's like, while it is really surreal, at the same time, I'm also keenly aware that I have like worked and worked and worked and that I have like so much pressure on me and that like now my universe, supports so many people like financially and there's just like a lot to like the public scrutiny, like what to share, what not to share, like how to use your platform. I think especially being like so visibly queer and in public right now with like so much anti-trans bills and so many anti-queer bills. And like I live in a state where the governor and the attorney general like are empowering the Department of Child and Family Services to investigate parents of queer children for child abuse. Like that's what's happening in Texas right now. And so it feels really this like intense dichotomy of like, wow, this is so surreal and it's kind of Cinderella-y and like it's really amazing. And then on the other hand, it's like I'm working really hard and I've been working really hard and I see a lot of things deteriorating around me while my life in a lot of ways is going better than it's ever gone. And so there's just like a lot of dichotomy there. There's a lot of like growing pains. And I think there's just a lot of like, I don't know. Yes, I mean, but to answer your question, no, I didn't ever see that this would like actually happen. It's like I really just, my 20s, I really just wanted to survive. I was dealing, with really horrific addiction and compulsive behaviors. And it was really just so touch and go for a while that in a lot of ways, I just feel so joyful to even be here and like be alive. And so, yeah, it feels joyful and it also feels somber sometimes.
I feel like you've done so much work in transforming yourself in the best way of, going through, your just whole life, just like learning how to become who you are. And then also allowing other people to do that in their life. And I don't know, like, with your work on like Queer Eye or just your work, with your comedy or your activism or your hairline, how you just are so inclusive, like where do you find that like courage to help people transform themselves and see themselves like in a new way? Like where does that come from? How do you pull from that?
I think where that comes from is the knowledge that I know that I can't make someone do that. So I don't really try. that transformation for someone to see the beauty within themselves is like ultimately for them to see. I think it's like, it reminds me of like in my Big Fat Greek Wedding when the grandma's like the man may be the head, but the woman's the neck. And I hate a classic binary comparison, but I feel like I can be the neck. I can turn your head towards your beauty. I can like direct you towards it, but ultimately like that choice lies within like that person. So I think that's a part of like why we even call them like heroes on Queer Eye. You know, it's like, because it is really heroic, like making yourself vulnerable like that and allowing people into your life and asking for help, but still ultimately knowing that like you can learn how to make some different food. You can learn how to clean your house. You can change your haircut. But if you don't love who you are at the end of the day, if you don't accept who you are at the end of the day, like none of that stuff matters. And sometimes the reason that those things aren't working is precisely because you're not accepting who you are. But I think that like my stepdad, who I wrote so much about in my first book, Over the Top, his name was Steve, and he was amazing. He had been sober for like 27 years when he passed away. And so I was really lucky to be around like so much recovery and like, you know, doing coloring books like in like 12-step meetings or like right outside the door. And so I think I don't, there's really nothing that anyone could tell me that would like move a hair on my head. Like I've heard it all, like really like doing hair for 15 years and just going through so much of what I've been through, like there really just isn't anything that I haven't heard. So I do think I have like a higher capacity for like compassion with people than maybe what a lot of other people do. But it's also really just knowing like boundaries and like knowing like I really can't change anyone. I can't like really fix anyone, and that actually we're all really capable of like showing up and supporting ourselves. It's just sometimes we like forgot that connection to ourselves. And so I think I can remind you of your connection to your highest self, and I can remind you of your most authentic self. And it's kind of like what you said earlier, like, you know, you see someone being authentic and vulnerable, and like if that's what you're seeing out of me on Instagram, and then it's like, well, I can do that too. It's kind of like that. Like it's like when I think of my mission statement in life is like promote self-acceptance by modeling joy and curiosity. Like that's what I feel like I was like put here to do.
That's absolutely what you do. 1000%. I think that from watching your content, I genuinely feel like it makes me want to enjoy my life. It makes me like want to get a hobby. Like I was watching you tumble and I was like, I need more hobbies in my life. Like it's really hard sometimes to remember to enjoy your life and find joy in little things. And I get like really, really caught up in life sometimes that I just forget to take a second and be like, I'm going to go do a tumble, or like, I'm going to go write a song.
But you do stuff. I mean, I feel like you like share your creativity and it's hard. I mean, you've also had like isn't it just so weird? Like having people be all up in your shit all of a sudden, like it's fun because you worked for it, but then simultaneously it's like, well, this is like a lot. And I didn't.
Especially someone that struggles with social anxiety. It has been a whirlwind, and also it's learning like how to stay open to people because it's hard to be vulnerable without being open, right? You have to share things in order to be vulnerable, and so it's learning like what that boundary is of like what is healthy to share and what isn't, and that's just kind of confusing sometimes.
It's confusing and it's taxing, and when you're going through all of that, sometimes you're like, I don't want to go do a tumble or write a song. I actually need to decompress and like turn my brain off and like
watch The Housewives and eat a pizza.
Is that your thing? I'm really going through like such a British Bake Off phase that's been going on for like 10 years. It's just not going away. I love it so much.
Obsessed. Oh my gosh. I haven't seen the new season. I need to see it.
It's good. It's really good.
Well, thank you so much. I love you so much. I hope that we get to meet in person one day.
I love you so much. We absolutely have to meet in person someday. And I want to style your hair, not because it needs it, just because it'd be fun and you have great hair and I just love you to pieces.
I would love to get my hair done by you. I will go to wherever you are. Seriously.
Well, let's make a YouTube about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Let's do it. It'll be fun. Thanks for having me, honey.
Oh my gosh, I loved my conversation with JVN so much. I think that I was so nervous to talk to them before like they loaded up in my screen. And then as soon as we started talking, it felt like we were friends. I think that this idea that having courage to go through this transformation and finding like absolute joy in that, for me personally, I think for a long time when I was younger, I just saw myself and my life as this like equation with like fill in the blanks of like blank plus blank plus blank plus blank plus blank equals best version of Elyse, right? But the older I get, the more I realize it's actually the complete opposite. In this like transformation to become exactly myself and love that person and find joy in like the very little things in day to day are a subtraction. So getting all of the things out in my life that don't allow me like peace and don't allow me quality time with my family and don't allow me to focus and rest. Like there is so much that objectively looks very good and very attractive that I have just ripped out of my life because I want to make it for the next 30 years. I want to be in this career for the long haul. I want my family to be healthy and together and rest together. But it's just cool to hear their story and where they come from and like how JVN got to be the JVN we know now. It's really powerful. And I think that that's just like the power that comes with someone's story. All right, that's it for my conversation with JVN. I hope that you feel inspired to find just one small thing that brings you joy today, in whatever way that makes sense. I'll be back next week with more Funny 'Cause It's True. Bye. There's more Funny 'Cause It's True with Lemonada Premium. And right now, there's a limited time discount on our annual subscription. Between now and Monday, November 28th, it's just $29.49. That's nearly half off. You'll get access to all of Lemonada's premium content, including My 5 Questions with Jonathan Van Ness, which drops this Friday. Subscribe now in Apple Podcasts right where you listen to this show, and do it before November 28th. Funny 'Cause It's True is a Lemonada Media and Powder Keg production. The show is produced by Claire Jones, Zoe Dennis, Nancy Rosenbaum, and Linnea Tony. Our associate producer is Tiffany Bowie. Rachel Neal is our Senior Director of New Content, and our VP of Weekly Production is Steve Nelson. Executive producers are Stephanie Whittles-Wax, Jessica Cordova-Kramer, Paul Feig, Laura Fisher, Kesla Childers, and me, Elyse Myers. This show is mixed by Johnny Vince Evans, additional help from Noah Smith and Ivan Krayev. Our theme song music was written by me and scored by Xander Singh. Follow Funny 'Cause It's True wherever you get your podcasts, or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.
Hey, Lemonada listeners, we want to hear from you. You know we love our sponsors for a ton of reasons, but one of the main ones is that they help us keep the lights on. And there's a really easy way that you can help us draw new advertisers and hear ads for things you're most interested in. Filling out our quick anonymous survey at lemonadamedia.com/survey. By just answering a few questions, you can help us find new brands to connect with and also share feedback about show content you'd like to see across the network. And to sweeten the deal, once you've completed the survey, you can enter for a chance to win a $100 Visa gift card. I promise the survey is short and sweet and will help us play ads you don't want to skip and also keep bringing you content you love. Just go to lemonadamedia.com/survey. The Webby Award-winning series Untold Story is back for Season 3. With host Trayvon Free, this season explores criminal injustice in places like Rikers Island. How have conditions there created a humanitarian crisis right in plain sight in America? With leadership failing to keep detainees safe, Trayvon speaks with criminal justice reformers, activists, and attorneys on how we can enact change throughout communities. All 3 episodes of The Untold Story Criminal Injustice from Lemonada Media are out now, wherever you get your podcasts. Casts.